Podcast starts at 19 seconds.
Welcome back to Fit the Description, a Black Men's podcast, where various black men come together to talk about life, society, entertainment, culture, news, and wherever else we want to talk about from various black men's perspectives. I'm your host, G, and today, this would normally be the point where I introduce everybody, but since there's so many people here, I'm just going to let y'all know, check the description down below, because there's a lot of people here today. So, just like last week, we're doing this intro just a little bit different. And if you're new here, this is actually the second chapter of episode 50, just so you know. So if you want to get the first half of this podcast, check out last week's. This one is actually the second part of it, because what we do is that we shoot a bi-weekly podcast. So we shoot one episode and split it up within 2 weeks. So you get the first half 1 week and you get the second half next week, and then we go on to the next episode. That's how we do things. So we're on various different platforms. Of course, right here, this is a flagship show for OPN, which that stands for Opinion Peace Network. But we're also on Rumble. You can hear me rant personally on the Wisdom app. We're also on various different audio platforms: Spotify, iTunes, Anchor, Breaker, Google Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and I think there's a few more. But again, just look up Fit the Description or Fit the Description Podcast and you'll find us. We also have a Patreon, which we already uploaded some content on there, not as much as we can. But let me tell you a little bit about that real quick. So the Patreon, we normally release two kinds of content. One, we release kind of trials that we do. So right now, I think me and B are on there reacting to, what's his name, the Stratman on his house. So we actually have that up there right now. At least I think we do. Yeah, we do. We also released our first episode of Cut Content. And if you don't know what Cut Content is the extra content and additional content that we have that we didn't put out, whether it's just that we didn't have time or we felt like it wasn't safe for YouTube. So we just kept it on the Patreon. So if you want to see our more unsafe content, make sure to check that out over there on Patreon. And it's probably, once we get it ready, it's going to be up on the website that I keep telling y'all about that I will get done one day, hopefully sooner than later. And we also have a Twitter now on OPN, so you can check that out there. Just so you know, we don't really post a lot of content on there. I mainly use that just to post links when we get good links to kind of help y'all out as a community. So make sure to check that out. And we're also on Instagram, which again, another page I have not updated or upgraded, but we're also on there too. So it's kind of funny how we basically, how this podcast all started was based with George Floyd. And now we had the Tyreek Nichols situation. But the big thing I want to talk about, because if you want to hear like that conversation on that situation, you can check out episode 47. But I'll let other people, if they want to share their piece, I'll give them 2 minutes to share their piece. But anyway, so the thing that had me thinking about this entire topic was, the one thing that I always go back to, something that I also debated with James, I've also talked to with Jason on the podcast, was when they said nothing has changed. And to me, it's hard for me to say that, because for me to say nothing has changed is kind of spin on the graves of like our ancestors and the people that came before. So I can't really say that. But what I will say is that the fight isn't done and there's more we got to do. But the one that I've been going through is just kind of like what I've been feeling about kind of like black culture and what black is today. Because I'll be honest with you, like I've been really confused on it. Like I've been up and down with the situation, because from what, like, listening to people who I listened to as a kid and my elders and people who talked to me, they had like all the stuff that they told me. It's kind of like, in a way, I kind of almost feel like I was lied to, and I didn't really get the full truth, and it's kind of pisses me off. It's kind of annoying me. So I've just been really kind of confused on what black is today and what the culture is today. I mean, even when we talk about, systematic racism, every single time, I've said this before, every single time we talk about racism, the only thing people really want to focus on is the racist part, not the systematic part. So my big question to y'all is what do you think about the black culture today? And what do you think about, the black culture today? How do you see it? What does it mean to you today? So I'm gonna give y'all 20 minutes. I mean, not 20 minutes. I'm gonna give y'all 2 minutes to say your piece, and then I mean, we'll talk for as long as we can. So, Adam, since you came on here, I'll let you go ahead and start.
Man.
Yeah. 2 minutes.
Well, you know what? Can I go second?
All right, that's fine. AB, you want to go?
Okay. The culture of the day. I mean, what culture? I mean, we you saying black culture. I don't know what the hell that is. So, if we're looking at an entertainment thing, like you're looking at celebrities or whatever, is a culture of failure because none of us live that shit. So, I mean, how can we say it was a culture if we don't own anything? We're not out here unified or building anything. We went through an hour and 40 minutes debating about black women and black males in the dating thing, and that's the results of our culture. It leads to nowhere. It's nothing. So it's just the black culture is not here, or it died a long time ago. That before I was even born. So yeah,
I'll go after him.
Yeah.
Oh, are you done? I don't want to go.
Yeah, I'm done.
Go ahead, man.
Okay, well, first and foremost, the three things in my 2 minutes. First and foremost, I just want to say, Mr. Brother Vernon, you're to start this because you were praising the dude who didn't make it, Dan or whatever his name is. Like you just called out everybody, and yet again, you was in that conversation too, nigga. So for one, don't act like you didn't participate. Unholy son of a, like, that's just first and foremost, because that is 1 and 2. And 3, I haven't seen the Tyrese Nichols. I haven't watched any of it. I know absolutely. I just know. I mean, from my honest opinion, you didn't see one nigga get beat up by cops. You didn't see it all. I'm not gonna waste my time and watch another nigga being at the wrong place at the wrong time. Kim, I don't care. So that's how I feel about that. oh wait, no, I'm sorry. And culture, since that's the original question, a culture, I mean, I don't know, I guess, I mean, I don't know what the definition of culture is. I mean, I have my own culture because I live in a biracial household. So I feel like my culture is a little bit different than black culture. So I would just say that in my 2 minutes.
Okay.
Want to go ahead, Al?
Yeah. First and foremost, let me just say that I'm sorry, but I believe that we don't have a culture out here in America. How can you say that we as black, what are we, black African Americans, black Americans, whatever you want to say, we're divided from our actual culture itself. Our culture is from Africa, but how much do we actually know about it? When we go over there, how much are we accepted? What can we actually learn about our culture, our past that is still present in the future, that hasn't been destroyed? So yeah, man, that's how I feel right now. Like, what the culture that we have is American, is a portion of somewhat African culture mixed with American culture. It's a whole entirely different culture. It's not that, you know, it's what we make it up to be in this time and place, or what our immediate family is. Like Keith was saying, that's what the culture is going to be, because that's the culture that we live right then and there and what we pass down. But there's nothing that we can look in the past and go, oh, okay, this is us. The past that I see is, yeah, we have great people that made great inventions that strive so far. Some that got stolen, some that did not. We're just now, being able to actually be who we are, when we're still finding out who we are as a culture, as a people, let alone a culture. You know, that's why it's so mixed. But I actually, in actuality, I really don't have any feelings about it. This is my piece about it, and I don't really give what anybody else says.
Damn.
Yeah.
Okay. Fuck
Yeah.
you too.
Okay, all right. All right. Hey, Jason.
Yes, sir.
You want to go next?
Yeah, in case anybody needs to know the definition of culture, I went on and pulled it up right quick. It's the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. That's the first one as a noun. The second one as a noun is the customs, arts, and social institution achievements of popular nation, people, or the social group. So I think we are the culture. We are everything as far as America. And really go back farther, we have influenced everything that civilization has today. So are we talking about American culture? Are we talking about African culture that is literally in the fabric of every other culture on the planet? I mean, where do we want to go as far as the topic of the conversation goes? Because realistically, no. The part that gets us is, you know, us in ownership when we know why we don't own things or what contributed to that. But as far as our influence or the direct correlation to the definition of culture, we are the culture of anywhere you can put it. We have influenced everything that is here today, even if you go from ancient times to current times. So I just wanted to kind of touch on the actual definition of culture because, you know, it does mention the arts, you know, everything we touch in the arts, we flourish in. In other manifestations of human intellectual achievement, we wouldn't have medicine without Black African culture. We wouldn't have agriculture without Black African culture. We wouldn't have modern entertainment without Black African culture. We wouldn't have pretty much all there is to have. So it's kind of like, it might not seem as though we are really dominant in those areas because we don't own it. We don't have ownership in that. But as far as where the culture is, it just depends where you're going. You talk hip hop culture, that's one aspect, right? That's just like where are we pinpointing? But overall, we are the culture.
Okay, cool. All right. Jay, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. 2 minutes. You want to say your piece real quick?
I think I got something rough. I just say kind of what is conjuring up in my brain yet, but kind of bouncing off what bro was saying. Our quote unquote cultures. I feel like anything that we as people touch, it's like it's gonna flourish. Like a lot of stuff that I come with, like let's see. Like any type of sports, music, it would not be the same if quote unquote we wasn't here, or all these light skins and like light skinned women or men that these people want from Negroes. So it's like, that's the best I can do. I ain't gonna lie to you. Yeah, that's all I got to say. I feel like a lot of stuff. I don't think we don't have a culture, but I feel like it's too big of I don't even know what it is, but it's too big for me to say, oh yeah, that's one thing right here that we are like, no, but everybody good at something.
So, we're gonna go. I don't know if he's done or not.
Yeah. James, you want to go?
Go ahead.
All right.
So,
yeah. Okay. Go ahead, Keith.
No, okay. So, African culture would be before or after Roman culture?
You asking that question?
Who are you asking this to? G?
Yeah.
I'm just saying it in general.
It's like
says black culture.
There's so many variables to that. There's so many variables, honestly, because people are like, oh, we don't have African culture anymore. Everybody on this fucking podcast is basically from California. So, and they're 4 or 5 generations back of somewhere in the United States. We ain't from Africa no more. Africans don't even want us to go back over there. So this is Black culture as far as relevant to what you think. And that culture is so rich, but nobody gives
about it anymore, so it's no point. You might as well just go for yours.
Exactly.
But my point is, like I said, it's black culture or African culture before or after Roman culture. Because a lot of the that's happening in the last 80, 100 plus years is Roman culture.
Roman doesn't what is your culture?
Roman arts, music, entertainment.
No.
So I'm not just gonna say that it's Africa. That's why I'm asking. Is not black, but African culture before or after? When is the time period before Roman culture and African culture?
What I'm saying is all of Roman culture is built and based off of African culture. They don't have a culture. Their culture is based off of our achievements and what we have created. If you want me to read the definition of culture to you again, I can.
No.
Back.
I'm saying, I can't say that because, like I said, what you're talking about has to do with the last 200 years or 300 years.
I'm talking about in any time frame from the existence of the.
What do you know about Africans 2,000 years ago? I'm not saying that there weren't black-colored people, but I'm saying
what would you like to know?
I'm saying you're saying that our culture goes as deep as deeper than Roman culture.
Yeah, because we supersede Roman culture as a people. And although we are African American,
I'm saying influencing on the world. I'm saying where does it say that African culture supersedes Roman culture? Where?
Yeah, we were the every. What do you mean where? We were the first Africans. Let me break it down to you, brother. We were the first people to start agriculture. We were the first scientists. We were the first people to look in the stars to figure out astrology. We were the first people to start medicine. We did all of the first doctors. All of that is coming from Africa. No, they didn't create any of this. And actually, a lot of the inventions that they patented came from African people before we were allowed to even hold patents. They don't have a culture. See, that's the problem. They don't have a culture. Their culture is all piggybacked off of things that happened prior to them, in which all that history was hidden. But there are plenty of documentaries put together by some very, very intelligent black people. If you want some, I can give you some names where you can learn African culture and how it influenced the entire world. When we left Africa, we went to every single continent on the planet and populated.
That's true.
So when we went there, we took the information that we learned and shared it with everyone else. We built America. We built the pyramids. That's what I'm saying. Where do you want to go? In American culture, we are the culture. We were the first product that even gave them opportunity to be rich in this country. We built the White House. We built the railroads. We were the first commodity of America. We went to every other place and taught them how to create and try to bridge what they thought they knew with what they were trying to create. So that's what I'm saying. Our African culture, although we live in America, okay, everyone's ancestry traces back to Africa. Even people that aren't African have African DNA in them.
That's true.
Africans were the first people. So we're all interconnected. So I'm going to say I'm an African American because if I do my genealogy, it's going to take me back to my tribe in Africa. Although I live in America and I was born in America, you go back a couple of generations, my people were slaves. Everybody wasn't born of slaves in the country. But if you're black in this country, more than likely, you derive from an African that was a slave. So what I'm saying is, as far as culture goes, we have influenced we precede every other every other culture that you may think of. We precede that just by being African. Now, American culture is a whole different topic of the state of American culture right now that blacks own. But we influence everything. Everyone wants to dress like us. the music that's played. I'm a DJ. I DJ all types of culture, all different type of cultural events, all races, Spanish, Caucasian. We influence everything that is now. The problem is ownership. We don't own anything. And a large part of that Black culture is negative, of course, when you go into hip hop and rap and things like that. But we are the culture. They idolize us. They look up to what we do. We influence Japan and China. They don't look to Roman or to Western, traditional Western views in their culture. They don't want to do things like that. They want to be like us. That's a fact.
You were going to say something, Otto?
I was just saying that, majority of everything you said is true, but it is a couple of things involving culture, not culture as in like, what we're talking about, but culture in general. It is a group of people who come together, they have a similar language, they have a way about doing things that, within their community. But at the same time, it's like, if we do go back, not even go back, but, if we find out, what part of the tribe we are from Africa and everything, can we go there and be accepted? Will we be able to go there and be accepted? Is there an issue? Is there like a trial to actually, how some cultures have like a trial of going into adulthood? Will they recognize us, understand where we're coming from? At the same time, we got to understand where they're coming from too. But that's also an issue that I would definitely say that we would face, like if we was trying to reconnect with our roots within certain tribes or certain areas. We might face that backlash, and for whatever the hell reason it may be, at that time we'll come to an understanding of it. But that's what it would be. And then if that is the case, can we really say that, yes, this is my race and this is who I'm part of, but is this my actual culture if I can't participate or be a part of the culture itself?
I think we can. I think a lot of American propaganda put out that Blacks and African Americans and Native Africans don't like each other. That's all propaganda. That's a false lie. I
believe that a lot of it is propaganda.
Yeah,
I do, but I also believe that a portion of that is coming from, people within Africa themselves, and not everybody. It could be a certain area. It could be a certain tribe. It could be, a mixture of it. What I do say is that it's not that we're African. That's an issue, African American. It's the American part. Because a lot of countries, although they put up with America, they do not like America because of our specific ways. And I think that may be part in why, we're not widely accepted, like how they'll take it. They'll do stuff. They'll like us to benefit off of us, of course, because history has shown that, of course. But, it will only be a certain amount of people that will really sit down, try and understand and see where we're coming from and see our fights and struggles and, either accept it or compare it to their own. But that's something that I'm really, is better than nothing, especially in this day and age, because we're coming off of 70 years off of, the 1950s and all the issues that our ancestors faced, and while people do widely know about that, you go to certain countries, it's not really acknowledged. Like certain places in Asia, they still talk about African Americans in a certain light, or darkness, but that's just how it's accepted. And that's part of their culture, ignorant as it may be, that's just part of their culture as a whole. It's a lot of places actually. If you go within a European country, like it's seeing the African American is a rare sight. Some people will stop and try to take a picture with you because that's how rare it is. But I will say this: when you do go to other continents, whether as an African American, your skin does take on a different type of hue. Not everyone will admit it, but when you go to certain areas in Europe, you will take on kind of a goldish hue to your skin. You just have to be there for a while. I don't know the significance of that because I haven't really indulged in what that actually means, but I do know that it holds some type of power, whether that can be why people treated us a certain type of way in the past. But we definitely did go to all corners of the world. That's definitely a verifiable fact. When you do look at the history of not even like recorded history, at this point, what we're talking about is worded history that was passed down through the peoples and different cultures who held the history of the people and events that happened. A lot of actual events that actually did happen were never really written down. And when people had wars or they took them as slaves and killed off other cultures, and I won't say country, but other cultures within the country, then they lost a portion of that history, and that's forever lost. And the only way that you actually ever find that is to find the people who pass down certain history in their own lands. But then we all know that history is written by the victors in the first place. But I believe if you take history books from all over the world, put them together to get an actual dialogue of history, believe whether it be 100% variable fact, you will find conflicting information that does state that in this time, in this year, in this time, we received help. We got information that involved African Americans that brought over certain things, jewelry that taught us how to use things in ways we haven't used before. Native Americans here are an example. We were here before, you know, Christopher Columbus or anything like that. But a lot of that information was torn down, destroyed, because there were over 1 million Native Americans that died during this whole process um, just let it be called what they would say the white man coming over and taking the land. It was a land to be shared, but it was not. It did not. It ended up not being that. And
Okay, hold on. Let me jump in this because we kind of get off topic.
go ahead. No,
So,
it all wraps up. It all wraps up. But I did get on the topic of Native Americans because that is one area where it is a verifiable fact with artifacts and cultural artifacts that were shown, but some of them were destroyed and very little remained.
okay, but so this is my question, and this is kind of like my problem with today. Whenever we talk about Black culture, why do we always go back in the past? Now, I understand the argument. The argument because like that's where we come from. That's what makes it all that stuff. But it's like when we look at it today, you talk to young people because like I mean, and honestly, this is more for you, Jason. It's like listen to everybody on the podcast just now, where most of us are just like, what is Black culture? What is it? What does it mean to me today? What does it do for me today? And I think that's something that I think I have worry about. And that's kind of sad if you think about it, that there are people right now, Black men in this podcast, grown adult. And I see it going further. I mean, we have Jay on here who's younger than all of us, and even he's like, kind of jumping out, but like we don't really have a description anymore. So that's what I'm saying. We understand what it is for the past, but what does that mean to us today?
Well, you didn't even understand the description when they first, until I brought it up. Nobody understood the technical definition of it. So once I looked up the technical definition of culture, then that's why I asked you to be more specific. You said, okay, the state of the culture in today. And I tied it all into saying that we have influenced and are the culture today and yesterday. Because we have influenced the arts, we have influenced every single invention known to man, because the basics, the foundation, we created. So are you talking? That's why I say, when you talking about art, the culture, that's too broad of a question and in general, because you have to say what part of the culture are you saying? What is Black culture? Okay, Black culture is what it's. That's why. What do you mean? That you have, I think the question needs to apply to a more specific endpoint instead of saying what is Black culture today. Well, we are the culture.
The question is irrelevant.
That's what I'm saying. Culture, like I don't understand. You get what I'm saying? Like, what do you mean Black culture today?
Because today's youth, I'll put it to you like this: when I was a kid, I heard old Black kids tell me certain things, which, just like she said, it's a person that's younger in here, and when they hear Black culture did this, Black culture did that, hearing it and seeing it are two totally different things.
Yeah.
So it's like you can boast about Black culture being the one of the first lineages. And this is where I agree with G. It's like or not where you are sitting here talking like an old head, like when I was a kid, saying what we've done in the past and how much we fought and how much we did this and how much we did that. We technically didn't do anything because I'm young. And you technically haven't done anything. Maybe your two fathers or three fathers have. But what have you done for our culture? And that's the
What have
biggest
I done for?
question.
Oh, you want to ask me what I've done?
Yeah, that's
I
probably a
can
bad
let you-
question to try to ask about. I would
if
say
you
that
wanna
right
ask
now.
me what I've done.
I'm not saying you. I'm
Yeah.
saying young kids. Young kids are basically. I feel like I said, when I was a kid, and I asked my uncles or whoever, I used to always think like, okay, I get what other people did in history, but what have you done for your culture? You know, and I think that's in a way what G's trying to say. It's like, what, you know, like obviously, just like I said, my culture is my household and what I choose to believe in. That's what I'm teaching my kids.
Yeah, because
but
that's
it's
your
like-
definition of culture. So that's not the definition of culture. So when I was discussing my perspective, I went off the technical definition of what culture is. And that's why I said, I touched on both. I said currently and from the past. And why is that applicable and relevant? Because the current culture we have in America has come from culture in the past and is still perpetuated today and has influenced the whole world today. So I don't understand. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement.
But I think Keith had it like kind of right on the money where it's like, you know, you gotta look at a young kid, you know?
Exactly.
What does that mean to him? You know, like yes,
I
he's
don't
right.
know what
Like because no,
What does
okay,
that
let me
mean?
explain it this way.
I'm
So
gonna
like
tell you all, it don't mean shit until you get older, because you honestly just listen.
Exactly my point. And then by then it's fucking
You
useless.
can tell me what my history is, you know, and I can listen, but I'm not gonna sit there and understand what you're saying. I'm gonna watch a video and it's gonna, you know, invoke some feelings in me. You know, hey, my people went to struggles. Hey, you know, white people are the devil. You know, it just may. But
nothing.
I still stick by what I said earlier. American is amalgamation of cultures mixed matched. You can't just sit here and say individualize a culture in a general way because we're an amalgamation of it. You know, a culture would be us as African Americans coming over here in this day and age, you know, not having anything, any other culture taking having on us or anything like that, but it has. So therefore, you know, it's amalgamation of it. You know, us personally. What can you tell me about African Americans? I mean Africans. What can you tell me about Africans? Anybody?
you know what I think really what's missing in the entire conversation and something I didn't even notice. I think the point I'm trying to get to. I think the one thing that we're missing with all this description and all these things is community. And so that's kind of what I mean because it goes back to what Keith is saying. It's like I could sit down and I've taught a lot and like all the history, all the people I look up to history, they were before my time. You know, by the time I came around, all the black heroes that I knew that I know about history book, all this stuff, the people and even okay, that's not necessarily true because I did meet the Black Panther when I was a kid, but outside of that, most of those guys when I was growing up are not here. So when I was growing up, listen to people, listen to these black people, listen to the community, and hearing all these guys say, which is great. But the thing is that I never saw these people in my neighborhood. I never saw them help out my people. I never saw them help out my friends. I never knew these people. I saw them on TV. I heard the good things that they did. But at the end of the day, when I look around, what have they done for me? And what I'm saying is, I guess this is my whole entire point where I see the issue is that to me right now, there is a disconnect that's happening. And I think it's something that I think a lot of people are missing. So when I go back when we talk about culture, you're right. Like what I said was broad, but the thing is, it is broad. And it's like, why is it broad? It's like, you know, when I talk about the youth, it's like, you know, when they look at somebody, you know, who do they have to look to? Who do they have to talk to? You know, me and James, one of the arguments that we had, because he had this conversation before, like he used to say, he said, man, you know, back in the day, you know, we go down the block and you knew like the old guy at the mechanic shop that was there that bringing the kids over and teach them how to work on cars. And I'm not talking about the podcast, what you do personally, because I know what you do personally. That's not you personally. I'm just talking more general life. Listen to people, talking to people, even the guys on this podcast. What I'm saying is that right now in the culture, I mean, I get that you may be there, but I'm sensing and seeing a disconnect. You know, the argument, the
Well, I think
conversation
you
are
worded
not being
the
had.
question.
Go ahead.
I think you worded the question. I think your question should have been, what is the state of the Black community?
Fair enough. Fair
Not
enough.
what is the state. That's what I'm trying to tell you. If you go by the definition of culture and what it means, not what it means to you. I hate when, you know, you can't use your personal definitions or opinions. Your question should have been, what is the state of the Black community right now? If you
Fair
would
enough.
ask what is the state of Black culture, we are the culture. That's
Okay.
what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
That if we perceive Roman culture, we perceive every other culture then and now still. Our influence, we're even so much of the culture, we're the biggest consumers. We're even to that detriment. We influence everything.
Okay.
That's my point. It's kind of where I was trying to get to. So I get what you're saying. And, you know, as a young person, they probably don't want to even hear nothing about no culture and no really highly intellectual conversations in general. So I can't say how a young person would perceive or receive that. What I'm saying is, as far as that question goes, you know, not too many people have their own individual cultures in themselves. But our influence and what culture is today, that's a very broad statement and should be broken down into many different conversations, because you can ask, where's our influence? What have we created? Where are we in the arts? What is our combined contribution to human society as a whole?
I agree
in
with
America,
that. I think that was a really good point, because when you do talk about culture and community, I know one and one they go hand in hand, but they are different. But you know, you do have to break that up into different parts. So I agree.
Okay. Yes. Okay. I would say that. Okay. So then.
Okay,
This
well,
is,
hold on, just 1 second. So let me just say this. Like, okay, so our generational culture, because I just read this, is basically just like you said, art, or like all the ways that includes. I'm not going to read everything, but institutions of populations that are passed down from generation to generation. And that is my point. So basically, what's passed down from generation to generation, that's culture. And just like I said earlier, we had the Martin Luther Kings and people to influence us. So 20 years from, 23 to 2003. Because Martin Luther King means absolutely nothing. Africans who went through slavery mean nothing. None of that means nothing to a young child. So for the last 20 years, what are we as fathers or uncles or whatever the case may be passing down from generation to generation? Because what the fuck does being the beginning of civilization or civilized culture mean a goddamn thing in the last 20 years?
that's a great question.
That's my biggest point.
Well,
Like,
That's a different topic
and all
of
that
conversation,
stuff.
but
I
That's
think it
not a
holds
different conversation. That's exactly
generation.
what I'm trying to point out. So basically,
no,
culture in the last 20 years.
But that's not applicable or to what we're saying. That's a whole different topic of conversation. What we're doing now.
He said, no. He said, how does culture affect, like, what does it mean to you in today's world? And
but that's not.
You said what?
Well, I can say that my great grandfather was born in the time of slavery. My grandfather was born in 1902, and my mother was born in 1964. And then I was born in 1990. So it's my great grandfather was technically in that period of slavery.
well, most
And my
of us
grandfather had just came out of it. So it's still stuff that holds on. And I think that in each family, it's slightly different. I mean, the history coming into the culture.
I'm saying,
But that's
but
most of
you
ours. So
pass down
that's
your
not really the
history of
argument.
your
That's all.
grandfather to your children. How do you think that they're going to accept it in today's world? Generate how is it going to influence their children? How is it going to influence their children? How is it going to influence their children, and so on and so be it? Do you think, I hate to say it like this, but do you think that your kids are going to give a fuck about what your great great grandfather went through?
Yeah,
Like,
depends.
It
no,
depends.
I guarantee you
I
no,
did.
because
I did.
it's too many different cultural aspects that are being passed down in black households now. That's my point.
Right. So it's applicable to the person that's passing it down. It's not a broad thing that applies to every household in the black community. My mother is a historian. My mother helped organize the first family reunions in our entire family. See, I'm different. I come from a different cloth. So things like that interest me. That's why I know African
Okay,
culture. That's why I know
I'm
a
not
little bit
saying
of African.
you don't, but what about, like I said, a generation that you're passing this to?
Well, here's
That
another thing.
depends on the person
The
that's being
generation,
passed down
our
to.
children's generation will have their fathers. That's one thing. And
It
I
depends
believe
on the
that's
person.
that's an issue that, being passed down. Well, not being passed down, but that's an issue in itself. Because, just like I
Okay,
was
well,
saying, my
hold
mother,
on.
I know my father in a
Jason,
sense,
do you
but
have kids?
huh?
No, I said, Jason, do you have kids?
No, Jason.
Okay,
Hello? What? You talking to me?
okay, well then this,
Yeah.
Okay,
We're
do
talking
I
to you.
have
yeah,
children?
kids.
No, I ain't got a kid.
Okay, well, that alone, just like you said, certain topics exclude you. That's my point. That excludes you. It's just generational knowledge,
No, I can pass down
the
knowledge to my nephew or other people.
cultural generational knowledge. Like if you're a parent, you go based off, like me telling him my son about slavery is going to go in one hole and out the other, because
Right, because he's a
it
kid
just
and he doesn't want to talk about slavery. Nobody wants to hear, even
it
grown
doesn't
people
matter
don't
if he's
want
a
to hear
kid.
about slavery. Yes, it does. No, even adults don't want to hear about
No,
slavery.
because okay, but what about all the kids that are 17, 18, 20, 19, 20? You ask these kids if they care about if slavery affects their life. Because when I was a kid, I
Wait,
watched Roots in middle school.
I will
We
say,
learned about the
Hold
Holocaust,
on, Adam.
and we learned about certain things. But see, like that's basically generational knowledge of culture. It's like I watched Roots, and we had movies like Glory, and we had a lot of racial influence in the world that showed us. Nothing is showing that now. What a parent says to their child, since since you don't have kids, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's just like I tell people about recycling. I talk to kids about recycling, and they're like, "What the hell is recycling?" Bitch, what do you mean what's recycling? Like, we had TV shows that were dedicated to doing the right thing. That's cultural generational culture. That's
Nobody cared about
I
that as
think,
kids.
Chief, you just need to tell them you can earn money. Then there you go.
no,
Nobody
but
cares about
it's not
recycling.
about that. It's I'm saying that it's about, at the end of the day, like generation after generation need to know. I'm saying what fucking forefathers done is not, because I'll put it like this, our lives are done. Like, so the kids nowadays are gonna take over this world, excuse me, and pass it down. If they're not teaching, because I have my kids go to school, they don't know about slavery. They think they don't teach that anymore.
Well, of course, your
And,
kids aren't gonna. I wouldn't expect your kids to know
That's
about
an
like.
issue in
What I'm saying
American,
is, it's not about.
the
exactly,
American
Yeah,
culture.
what
exactly.
I'm
So
saying.
stop
What
saying
are you
culture.
contributing?
Yes, it means something to us. It means something to us, but it does not mean shit for the next generation.
That's cap. I know plenty of educated young people that are very much invested in the affairs of African people today and yesterday.
Okay, so
That's what I'm telling you. It's not a broad statement.
Okay, so
What are you
in
talking about?
reality, you truly think that it's more people that are it's more youth that are invested and then not invested.
What I'm saying is that is completely irrelevant because youth aren't generally
No,
interested in that stuff anyway.
You're saying
Youth are not
that it's more youth that is invested in cultural growth and all this stuff or whatever you're saying, and then not.
Cultural growth and cultural knowledge. You're talking about knowledge of culture being passed down from. What I'm saying is the youth of today are creating culture. They're contributing to the culture now. They're not worried about the past because they're contributing now. They're putting the work in now. So, of course, as a youth, your mind is only focused on certain things. And when I was a youth, we didn't give a damn about no recycling, and don't tell me about no slavery and none of that until you get to an older mind frame where you can even appreciate that information and it means something to you. The youth of today, they're trying to create. They're the ones on these social media platforms making them blow up. They're the ones that are now saying, fuck having a job. You want to talk about the culture? Fuck having a job. I'll be my own boss and I get on social media and start a YouTube channel and make more money than my mom and dad made. They're the ones that will be able to come out and out of poverty and bring their families out of poverty by getting to the NBA or by getting into any situation where they can create something, because now we are a culture based in arts, because not too many people are becoming doctors, yada, yada, especially Black community. Great. What I'm saying is the young people of today are creating culture. They're not worried about what happened in the day until they get older and understand, oh, it's one big picture. Okay, I get that. I see how that connects to what I'm doing now. So no, youth in general are interested in certain topics of period. They're not interested. They're not. They're in social studies and they're not paying attention. They don't give a damn. Now I gotta
You
go.
know what?
It was good having a chat with y'all, but I appreciate y'all brothers, all y'all perspectives, and it's always a pleasure. And I'll catch y'all on the next one. Happy 50th episode. Much love.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Jason. We
All right,
appreciate
later,
it, man.
bro.
And I hope you come on to
Later,
another
man.
one, man, because I have another
I'll
topic
say-
for you outside of this.
I'll say this, and I kind of got to go too because I got homework to do. But I feel a 50-50. I feel like you guys are half. You guys are no, not half. You guys are right halfway, and halfway about the other way. And this is today's culture. Jay was right. It's about more so multimedia, making money doing this. But that's now. That's the culture right now. And the next generation, it might be something else. It might not be as social media involved, as it is now. But that was for what he said. Now, as far as what both of you guys were saying, I am going to say it totally depends on the child itself. Not my youngest, but my second oldest son, he's not really interested in history or hearing anything about it. My oldest, my daughter, she's interested in history and she really wants to learn about it, but it makes her feel sad to understand the things that we went through.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I'm going to stop right there because that's the one thing I think you and kind of Jason was kind of going over your head. And I feel bad because I wish I would have said he was here.
Well, no, I'm saying like it's
No.
both ways.
This is what I'm saying. The problem is what you're not recognizing, and this is the one that I was trying to bring up in general. Because that's what I'm saying. It's like vague, but like the core of the issue is this: there is a disconnect that is happening, and like
there's a disconnect. It's been here,
and that's what I'm saying. And you see how like this whole entire argument, we're talking about everything, but we're not getting on. Like we're not even talking about the issue. I'm talking about the dude down the street, the community, the Black people. Now, don't get me wrong. I'll give Jason credit. I'm not going to tell everybody what he does. He can say it himself, but he does stuff for the community. So that's why I say I respect that he is out there doing things. But no matter what, when we look at it, that's why I say culture, because he said community. But like community is like what goes on here. So my question is, then what would you call like what Black is in America? Is that not the culture? It's Black. It's a Black America community now. It's not a cultural thing. Because I got community. What's your local? What's like the man up the local street? So right there, like that's why I got brought. Because right there, that's an entire different definition. Because like I said, how we feel on the West Coast is it differently how they feel on the South. What we deal with here is very different from what they deal with there. And sometimes when we come together, we talk. Don't get me wrong. There's a chord that is the same. We all agree about. But there's some very, very big issues that we're not even getting into that to me is causing a split. And that's what I'm saying. It's something that I've talked to a lot of people, that there's a split happening, but nobody's really trying to deal with that split and trying to fix that problem. So the problem is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And that's why you have that's why now you have people with generation. I mean, I hate to say it, but James called me out last time when we talked. Where it's like, dude, you don't even know what you're talking about. It's like, no, I do. I just honestly forgot because I've been doing other stuff, and that's kind of sad because I mean, a lot of those people that I see as heroes got me to this point, and that's being lost. So even though he's like the culture's being created, but what is being lost? You know, what is happening? Like we're all over the place. When you can see a podcast of black women basically saying Martin Luther King ain't shit, that's some crazy shit to me.
And that's my point.
Yes.
It's like, what does culture matter if, like I was trying to explain earlier, it's like culture. Like I was a kid when I learned about, like, okay, like for instance, we saw, okay, like our parents sat us down, and I watched the Rodney King case or O.J. Simpson, historic moments when I was a kid. Like I remember seeing that Jeffrey Dahmer shit, even though it's not, our history, but it's like I used to sit down and watch shit that was affected when I was a kid. And you can't even get a teenager to sit still long enough to tell them anything. So it's like our culture, is just like JJ just said. And what moved us is because it started early. Okay, recycling. I'm not saying everybody recycled, but I was a Captain Planet fan as a kid. And that motherfucker got me to recycle. I can't speak for nobody else, but it's like it was things that taught us on how to be good people and how to teach and whatever the case may be. It's like they didn't just throw, like on TV now, one of the biggest things for the last 10 years that I noticed, especially with sports, is that they keep emphasizing on Black History Month, Black History Month, Black History Month. Like, why the fuck is it only 1 month? Like, I'm Black 365 days out the year. And it's like we allow this to happen. Well, not we, but
no,
what is it?
we're adults now. We got kids now. We got parents. It's
okay,
hard.
well, exactly. We allow this to happen, and it's like you didn't see a lot of that stuff back then. Now, am I going to say it's because people took a stand or whatever the case may be? I have no idea, but it's like you didn't see it, and you saw a lot of good things on TV, and you also saw a lot of bad things, but people came together and watched. Like I said, I can't speak for nobody else on this podcast, but it's like how many teenagers, not on their phone, I'm talking about sitting next to their parents and watching a program and actually having a discussion about what happened. It's like, yes, I was too young to have a discussion about the Rodney King, but I watched my uncles and my aunts and my cousins talk about this. And it's like, I knew that what happened was wrong. It's like, I knew about Martin Luther King. Yes, I tell people this all the time. Yes, as a kid, I was 100% Martin Luther King. But as an adult, I'm 100% Malcolm X. Because just like he said, yes, as I got older, Martin Luther King's way just ain't gonna work all the time. But it's like what irritates me about saying culture, it's just like, what the fuck does it matter 2,000 years ago? It's like in the last 25 years, our culture is a fucking joke. Okay, when a kid sees a Black person and they're a Jay-Z, and this is an example. Okay, yes, he might be on the commissioner seat of the NFL, but that person knows automatically that there's still a bunch of white guys in front of him. And that's the point that I'm saying. So it's like, yes, you could say we have arts and we have this, but you see white people signing checks to Black people. And that's the point that I'm trying to make when it comes to this.
Well, that's why
that's
why I mentioned earlier is that, Jace was right. We when it comes to like the beginning of mankind and all this, we did create it. We was first human on this planet. But if we're talking about in today's in today's terms, okay, we brought in hip hop, but we don't own hip hop. I mean, hell, today we're not even writing our own lyrics to the songs.
Exactly.
So you have we're being influenced by hip hop artists and movie stars, sport people, but they're all of them have a script written for them. You know, is that really our culture or is that their culture? And are we influencing that culture or is it them? Well, because we don't own it, they are running the culture. This is their show. This is not our show.
Exactly. You can't say something is our culture if like okay, like if you go to the bank and you put a down payment on a house, you technically don't own that house until you finish paying off that check. It's technically not your
Exactly.
house. You can say it's your house, but and the bank still because if you don't make that payment, that's not your house anymore. That's the point that I'm
Exactly.
trying to make.
Exactly. And you're right. When it comes to the day, we don't own nothing. It's not our culture. Is this we're being influenced by them? All this fuck shit that's happening right now that you see on TV that have all using our image. Yeah, our image is influencing on things because they will use us for what they want them to do. They'll use us to play the basketball. They'll use us to be the rap in the face of all that shit. But behind the scenes, who has the real power? Who who who's writing the script to all this shit is not us. It's them. So it's their culture in today's terms. It's not us. That's why we have to talk about serious things and get things in order if we actually want to make this a culture that we actually own politically. When it comes to, we have to start working each other, keeping the money within our own selves, so forth, so forth. Can we do that?
That's no,
See,
because
that's
that's
why
not
I
going to
said in the
happen.
beginning
That's not going
that
to happen because social media cares about the almighty. Like just like I said, people care more about the almighty dollar than they do about fucking culture. I'll put it to you like that. Like a nigga will sell his soul. Like I said, yes, every day. Like G was right. I 100% agree about Floyd up the street who has a mechanic shop, shows kids. A guy who teaches you how to ride a bike. If you don't have a father in the house. It's like these are cultural aspects that a coach taking a player under his wing to give him extra knowledge so basically he can go on and go to the NBA. That's culture that we don't have anymore. Like I said, everybody has this hidden agenda or just like he said, a script. Like you don't have that. And that's how I look at culture. But it's like, yes, it just reminds me of every old head saying, oh well, it started back when back 2,000 years ago, and oh they done took all of our culture. It's like Elvis Presley done took from the blues, and okay, well, what the fuck does that have to do with anything? Like, okay, if you, and you know the funny part about all this, the sad part is all these people that took our culture, they tell you that we took their culture and we still do nothing about it. They make movies, they they write books, they write songs about how much we took everything from you. And yet we as in whether it be famous people or everyday people, do absolutely nothing about it. We just
Mhm.
sit here on our hands and consume and dictate like we are now. That's all we do. That's all we do.
Exactly.
That's why
Exactly.
for a person like Jason, no offense, okay, he gives back and this and that, but it's just like how I sit here and basically argue at work all the time. It's like, how can you bitch about the government when you're a part of the problem? You work for a dispensary. Who do you think allows you to sell this weed? Like, what you say, it makes no sense. It's like
Right.
you live in this world. You have, so you just have no ties to the government. You having a fucking way of communication alone gives the government access to your life. Like,
Right.
like your cell phone alone, fuck that, your house phone alone that you got from whatever company gives the government the right to do what they want to do. If
Right.
you ever applied for a credit card, if you have added to the problem of systematic fucking failure in today's culture. So anybody who argues about past culture, like all those people that stood like that said fuck this rent or fuck all this shit, I'm gonna stand up and fight. I'm gonna stand in this diner per se because that's what people like to go through. And all these people that went through slavery that didn't have a fucking choice but fight or die
Mm-hmm.
or just work. But it's like in today's world, in the last 20 years, like I've been saying, because that's what matters.
Right.
What have people done for this? Black people done for this culture? They've sold their soul, which has made us to sell our souls to and to care about the Almighty God. Because me and G have had this conversation for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
If you took 500 out or 500 people and they called one person and we stood in front of the White House and it just kept growing and growing and growing and growing and growing, they would have to make change. Now, am I going to say it's going to happen overnight? Am I going to say it's going to happen in a year? But if you take people away from these jobs, if you take people away from these big wigs making money, and then change has to happen. Will there be death? Will there be murder? Will there be sacrifice? Will there be fucking scorns of just chaos? Of course there would. But, but like when has that ever changed in today's world? A lot of people have to die to make change. Name me a time period where change didn't happen, where scorns of people didn't have to die.
That's
Name me
always been
one.
the case. It's history.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So people who bitch about culture, especially older culture, are a fucking joke to me. Because just because this little shit you're doing, and I'm not saying that it's not a lot in your community, but I guarantee you, little Nas X can go on TV right now and say all black people stop brushing their teeth, and I guarantee you, a majority of people will be like, he makes a good point. You shouldn't use toothpaste.
That's because they're.
Mm.
It's like you're talking to the uneducated bunch at that point.
Okay,
But at
but
the same time,
that's not
no, it's not
entirely
the
true
point.
though. It's not about them being uneducated. It's about there's nothing else. It's okay. I just
The
yet again,
followers.
I just had this argument at work though. I just had okay, it's just like everybody who okay, you know, a Third Reich, a fucking Nazi. If you were born to two Nazis, and that means that you grew up being a Nazi. You because you knew no other way. You knew no other way. It's just like now. If you're born and your parent doesn't have time for you, what do? Here's a tablet. Here's a phone. Do whatever you want. You can say that, oh, this kid is just playing a game on my phone, but they hit Internet Explorer or Safari and fucking YouTube, especially YouTube. It's like that's the only way they'll know. In the last 20 years, that's been the main pattern of life. Culture is whatever entertainment wants it to be. What a person like me or Jason, like us like in between, it just doesn't matter anymore. It doesn't matter what we have to say, whether it be good or bad. And that's the fucked up part about it. And that's what truly scares me is that my child, no matter how much I can influence this kid, because I'll have to work 20 times harder just just to get through to him because he sees another kid his age on YouTube wanting to do something that we've been arguing about. He has a dog in that fight now. If I told my aunt that I wanted to be Batman as a kid, I don't have a dog in that fight because there's no other kid in real life that was Batman. But if my kid says, I want to slap you or fucking set the house on fire and get famous for it, that's a dog in the fight. He technically has a dog in that fight, no matter if it's wrong or not. That's today's culture.
But my argument goes towards Keith as well. It's kind of like I really don't care about the culture in the sense, I'm not trying to be that guy, but it's a truth to it. Like, growing up, maybe it might have been a little bit different, I growing up a certain type of way may have even showed me to be different. But I do sit here, I don't really get on social media like that anymore, but I sit here, I listen, I watch, and it's like it's pretty stupid. You have some people that fight for a culture that I honestly feel like they don't even know what the culture is. The culture, you can't just say the culture. What is the culture? What about it? What the culture in the community. It's the culture. You have to have some type of physical, not physical, but some type of background into, going into the past. In a sense, when what couple of Africans came over here and kept exactly what they knew going, and they pushed it forward. It's a couple, but that's culture.
It's like,
I mean,
go ahead, Adam. Sorry.
Oh no, that was G, I think, talking.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah. I mean, when I look at this whole culture thing, the one thing that is truly missing is a core. And what do I mean by that? When you look at something like a pack of buffalo, or any animal for that matter, they all know what to do. They're all on the same page when it comes to certain situations. So they get attacked by this mountain lion. They all could be on the same page and agree to go in a circle, put their keys in the center of the circle, and they surround the children and to try to defend the pack from the mountain lion. They all could get on that same page to defend themselves. When it comes to when it comes to socially, all the animals they know what to do socially. They know what to do. Like I said, they know what to do when they get an attack, or they know how to attack the enemy. So, and they know how to raise the children to help them grow up in the herd. So what I'm saying is, if we can't get these basic core things, then it will never be a community. We have to figure out what the hell is this core and when we can start there, then you could probably build upon that. But at this moment, there's no core. Well, what's that one thing? What are those things that we could all disagree on? Not all of us, because there'll never be everyone on the same page. But for the majority, where are 5 things that we could all agree upon as Black people?
Jay's out.
That you
I'm
guys
on Jay's up
Are you
out
out of
here.
here?
through.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You guys
Hey,
know
Jay.
exactly.
Huh?
Before you go, I know you gotta go. Probably.
Okay, I got a message. G sent me a message to Jay, and and so Jay, I want to ask you. I don't know if you heard any of the conversation, but do you have anything else to add to that?
Ain't got nothing to say.
Peace out, y'all.
All
Peace
right,
out,
I'm
bro.
going
All right,
Peace
man.
out.
One thing I can't agree with James. He said at the beginning, he said every man to themselves. I agree with that. We can't get culture right, every man to themselves, man.
That's how I feel right now. Or at least this is
man.
family first, and then friends, and then whoever else later.
Yeah.
That's what
I
I said.
also feel
Fucking
like
first.
this
Fuck you guys. I said
before
that
we start
first.
going trying to help other countries out. And I'm talking about when we have our own African Americans who make it big, they got money. You help out in this community first, your community, your state, or whatever, and then you go from there.
And there's
Mike.
nothing wrong with remembering your past.
Yeah.
But making it your present and future and trying to take credit for that shit is just so fucking hilarious to me.
Exactly.
But nobody's gonna put it like that because everybody's scared of hurting somebody's feeling. I've said that plenty of times on this podcast. Me and G keep going round and round about what he remembers and what is part of his fucking generation, what's part of mine. But at the end of the day,
That has nothing to do with me. I have given up on that topic.
no. But it doesn't matter. But when you start going back further than that, like, oh man, fuck that slavery and all that shit. I'm like, come on, bro. Like, yep, it happened, but we need to put the shit from today, the shit that's going on now, in the forefront.
Exactly.
Because, because the biggest difference today and then is all these niggas that got dead by cops, they not innocent. And that's the one thing that's never talked about in today's culture. George Floyd wasn't innocent. Breonna Taylor wasn't innocent. Had dude who got shot walking to his car door and trying to check on his kids. I forgot his name, but he wasn't innocent. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. That it's like people defend these people, and it's like it's just not that easy to defend. Now, like I said, I know nothing about this new dude that got killed because I refuse to look up another fucking. I don't even care. I just don't even care.
Let me ask a question, y'all, real quick. Are we talking about the guy who got beat by the 5 black police officers? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I just heard about that last week, and I just seen it that same day. So I didn't even know anything about it until that day. Yeah, I just want to speak on how they already got how they're already in fucking prison. That's really what I'm kind of like just wow about. And it took fucking forever for all these other police officers, who are devoid of melanin to be convicted of anything.
Okay.
And then I'm just gonna leave that alone.
I mean,
and that goes back to what I said before. This, like I said, the system wasn't built for motherfuckers of certain. It just wasn't built for a certain tax bracket. I mean, I'm not saying these cops have a certain tax bracket, but imagery wise, black culture wise, we could be sacrificial lambs.
I
feel like someone just needs to bring the Uncle Ruckus up in here and just be like, nah, blackies, y'all don't get this.
Fuck that. Here, look, I really wasn't trying to get into this conversation, but holy shit. Look, this is the thing. Those black dudes are in prison, bro, because I'm sorry. like I said, I've been here since the Rodney King situation. Those cops are excessive force, but they were doing some kind of a job for which you can kind of argue like this dude was resisting arrest, so we beat his ass like a pinata. That dude that those black guys beat up, that dude didn't do shit but get beat on like a fucking African drum. Like most of that video, they were beating the shit out of him. He was handcuffed. They told that motherfucker to get on the ground, and he was already sitting on the ground. So, I mean, it was kind of open and shut case. Plus, the fact that, like, everybody was in cahoots. Everybody just kind of sat around like they was waiting for the next fucking pickup game. That case is so open and shut. I mean, holy fucking shit.
Yeah, I can. Can you imagine? You know, even though we seen what happened, I can still see black people fighting, say, justice is not fair for the black police officers.
They called him. Black Mountain News called him fucking racist.
Bro, it's an open and shut. Like, there's nothing like the George Floyd guys. They were like, dude was struggling, and then we just kept, until he stopped struggling. Well, he's fucking dead. This dude was not. They cuffed that dude and then started beating the Billy Blank shit out of him. Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, it's kind of hard to, especially when those dudes were an elite task force called the Scorpions. Like, come on, what the fuck?
What?
Yeah,
they were called Scorpions. Elite task group called the Scorpions. Yes, those were handpicked elite officers that ran a special task force called the Scorpions, and they beat the dog shit out of that guy with no
news to me, man. I didn't even know that part at all. See,
yeah. That's why they're in jail.
Like I said, I haven't done any research on it, so I'm taking all this in. Where you are 100% right. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't care enough. I just don't. I'm done.
The only reason that I know so much about it is because, again, in other conversational groups I have, we've all talked about this shit. And I mean, a couple of those dudes are cops. And they're like, fuck, you can even look at this and see there is no protocol. They're beating the shit. Like, I honestly believe that the reason that dude got at that guy was because his baby mama is working with that guy. Like, it's so many fucking rumors going around this shit now.
I think I heard that. Like, he was messing with one of the cops, baby mamas or something.
One of the cops' baby mama, yeah. That's a big rumor. Because again, the initial of the video, these dudes are literally just yelling at this guy. This dude's like, what the fuck's going on? I mean, I get it. It's fucking crazy. So everybody's like, that's bullshit. Why they in jail already? Those white guys, these dudes came up like a gang. Like, I ain't never seen nobody get packed out like that unless we in a nightclub and you stepped on somebody's Jordan. I mean, they hemmed that motherfucker up so smooth. I was like, holy shit, this dude is, I thought he talked about one of their mamas or something. Fuck, they beat the shit out of that dude with no remorse. And then when the paramedics came up and was just like, yeah, he fucked up. So we going bowling tomorrow? We playing cards? Yeah, that's fucked up. Like, they didn't help that dude forever. I honestly think everybody that came to that scene were so scared of those cops that nobody wanted shit to do with that situation.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, so no, hell yeah. Those dudes were going to jail. Fuck, it wasn't nothing they could have said. He was resisting arrest. He was handcuffed. No, he was struggling to get cuffed. He was already cuffed. He wasn't listening. He was on the ground when you told him to get on the ground. Well, he was on the ground so much that when the dude punched him in the face, he had to stand him up first. He couldn't stand up because he was handcuffed, so the dude picks him up and holds him there so the other guy could level him with a right hook that was Mike Tyson worthy.
That's crazy, man.
Fuck that. That's why, and that's why I said people always want to jump on here talk about racism. I'm like, ain't no damn racism. These motherfuckers, it don't matter what you are, you ain't safe. You could be black, white, Korean, and you could be pulled over by a black, white, Korean cop. They gonna beat the shit out of you if they want to. Okay, that's the biggest gang in the world right there, besides the military.
Navy.
Mm-hmm. Shoot, man.
They fit all the criteria of a gang. They wear the same color. They all affiliated somehow. They got loyalty to one thing. I mean, shit, we should put a gang injunction on the cops.
Sure. Anyone want to join my game today?
Hey, but think about it. This shit had already been coming. The jail systems had a gang for years. I remember 10 years ago, them talking about the LA correctional officers had a gang called the Jump Out Boys. And them dudes used to go through the prison system beating the shit out of inmates.
I think I heard that before.
Dude, I got homies that were fucking correctional officers that told me that shit was true.
Wow.
If they had an issue with an inmate and the inmate wanted to get down, yeah, definitely. They would take them to a private part of the jail and they would go get down.
Yeah, I see that happening.
I just didn't know it was like that.
No, it's ridiculous. Like, yeah, again, that's why I said a lot of you guys are too young to understand. These dudes was already putting shit on the. Look at the movie Colors. That old ass movie. Hey, that motherfucker said we the biggest gang, G.
Goddamn Sean Penn didn't stand a chance.
What he doing, Pac-Man? I mean, them motherfuckers was a gang back then. You think that shit has gotten any better? Them motherfuckers have gotten more power.
With that being said, I want to thank everybody for being on the podcast. I want to thank Keith, B, James, Keys, Jason, Jay, Ella, Cool Pat, Norris. Shout out to Jen Dan. And yeah, am I missing anybody?
Oh, damn. I'm just chopped liver.
Oh, damn. Adam. I forgot about Adam. Dang.
He wouldn't be friends anymore if he was just down with me.
I'm thinking about that right now, Keith. Like, damn, right? Shit.
But anyways, again, man, I'm happy. I want to thank y'all for being on the 50th episode, checking us out. I'm happy that we made this long. I didn't think that we would, but somehow we made it to 50. So I definitely appreciate it. And, the goal is to have 50 more of these and get to 100. Actually, no, that's not even the goal. The real goal is that, like I said, the goal for this year is to grow. And we really want to grow this year and build this thing and become bigger. So, again, if you like this podcast, if you want to hear more, definitely make sure to like and subscribe. Check out our other channel. Check us out on the various different podcast platforms. Check me out on Wisdom if you want to just hear my thoughts. Because, again, the goal for this year is to build this community, to build this brand. So like I said, if we do something like this again, next time I want to do it when we have a plaque. Because I know Jane's been calling for one. I know I have been too. So help us get there by liking and subscribing. And make sure to check us out. Anyways, make sure to check out the Clips channel. So I understand this is too long. And beyond that, I want to thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. We're done with episode 50. We'll be back for episode 51. And again, let's go for another 50. Have a good one.
Wakanda forever!